what motivated you for leaving Switzerland?
I think I was curious because I heard people talking about UK and also the job opportunities. I actually didn't like it. The very first week, I was actually contemplating to go back.
Hello, good evening. My name is Akinbode, aka Operakenny, and I'm welcoming you to your favorite show, my show and your view. Like it's a show where we bring in professionals across the board to discuss series of topics ranging from marriage to politics to career to sex, fashion, anything that will be beneficial to my audience, which is you. If you recall my last guest, I brought someone from the maritime industry, if I can use that, and she talked very well on marriage, why marriage is important, if it's important, and why it's not important. But today we are doing like a mental shift for you guys, and I'm here with someone from uh, human resources industry. Uh, she's here to share an insight on how it works, especially when you migrate from one country to another country, how easy it is for you to enter into the labor market. Is there any challenges? Is it easy to find a job? Is it easy to break the chain and start, especially if you've achieved from where you are coming from? I will bring her in shortly, and believe me, it's a show that you would not want to miss. I will put her on a very hot seat to answer a few of my questions. So, like I always tell you, find a bottle of Coke and some popcorns. Hold it tight while you enjoy the show. So, my guest today, her name is Racheal Akinbode, and she's a HR professional. She's Nigerian, but she left Nigeria some years back. Don't let me let the cat out of the bag. I'll bring her in. She will introduce herself. And the topic we are discussing on the show tonight is entering into the labor market as an immigrant in the United Kingdom or wherever you are. How easy is it to enter into the labor market? So I will ask you, my guest, thank you for giving me time and granting this interview. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity for joining your show. Good evening, everybody. My name is Racheal Akinbode, and by God's grace, I'm privileged to have been in the human resource profession for a few years now. I'm just going to take you really quickly into my journey and how I got there. So before I moved to the UK, I was in telecommunications industry in Nigeria, one of the big telecommunications, Globacom to be precise. And so when we moved to the UK, I came in February because my husband came earlier than I did with my daughter. I think I came in February, and in May I already got a job. So it was quick for me, but I did not get the job in human resources first.
I don't want us to tell us everything you want to tell us because I've not even started asking the question. So it's good that you do the introduction very well. Coming from Nigeria to the UK. So let me let me ask back. When did you move to the United Kingdom?
I moved. Can you hear me now? No.
Yes.
Sorry.
When did you move to the United Kingdom?
I moved here February 2020. That's 5 years ago.
Okay, if it's convenient, just raise up your voice a little so that we can have good audio.
Yeah.
So February 2022?
2020. No, 2020, 5 years ago.
February 2020.
Yeah.
Okay, you moved with your husband?
My husband came a month earlier, and I came a month after because I had to work my notice period in Nigeria before traveling.
Okay, so this is a question I always ask my guests, especially when I'm asking immigration related question.
Yeah.
Why did you leave Nigeria? Why? What chased you?
It's personal, but I'm just gonna try and be vague as much as possible. But as a family, husband and I, we had some sort of goals, what we wanted as a couple, because we married a few years before then, and a few years after getting married, we were not getting what we wanted, and so we researched about having a life outside Nigeria and comparing. Initially, our first point was Australia, not necessarily the UK. And so it wasn't just a jump ship kind of decision because everybody was traveling. So we took our time, we studied countries. So we considered Australia, US, and the UK. And the only reason we went for the UK was after we prayed and decided and we went for it. And as at the time we made our decision, a lot of people was, I'll say, against it because they were not sure why we would want to do what we were doing. So like we were doing bad in Nigeria. And so it was a personal decision based on how we wanted our family life to be. Yeah.
All right, so the decision is family related, right?
Yes.
So moving into the country, I've interviewed series of people who have migrated from, especially Africa. I've interviewed a lady from Sierra Leone, someone from Slovakia, someone from and so many people from Nigeria. How easy was it for you when you came into the country in terms of your career, especially for those that were doing well in their country before coming to their current destination? How easy was it for you?
To be honest, it was challenging. The first few months, if you look at the person you were from the country you're coming from, it's a case of what I ordered versus what I received.
Okay.
Can
you expatiate that? What does that mean?
Okay.
What did you order?
Okay, because of normally when you hear you're going abroad, first job coming from Nigeria, that is already a better place. You assume the system is in place, you assume things are easy based on what you see on the outside. But when you come into the system, you realize it's different. So the mentality we had was, I think most people had a mentality. The moment you come in, it's easy to get a job and start working and getting pounds, to be honest. And truth be told, you already start calculating £1 to £1. No one is aware of the billing system. No one is aware of how things work here. So I think everybody has that mentality. My family inclusive, had that mentality. But when we arrived, we realized that you can't just get into a place and start working. We didn't know what NI was. You need to get an NI. You need to, do trainings. You need to do a lot of things before being able to work. And it takes weeks for your NI to come through the post. And those weeks, you're just sitting down and waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And time is counting. So that's why I said what you order versus what you receive, because what the information you had before coming is quite different from what happens on arrival.
Yeah.
And so even as in as much as you research, there's always a waiting period. You're either waiting for a job or you're waiting for something. You just have to be patient, to be honest. And it's very difficult to wait. Waiting period is always the hardest for every single person. No matter the motivation, no matter the prayer, no matter the faith that you have, waiting is always very difficult. But by
Okay.
God's grace, it always ends well. Yeah.
Okay. So I've there is this maxim that people always say, especially people that are in United Kingdom. They always say,
Yeah.
when you come to the UK, you will be humbled. Were you humbled? So being humbled means I've seen friends that are bankers in Nigeria
Yeah.
that they came into the UK, big men, big women, bankers. They have drivers, they live in luxurious houses, they have everything
Mm-hmm.
that they could desire to have in Nigeria. But they came to the UK and they were humbled. Some even started as a cleaner, some started as a kitchen porter, some started as a carer. I'm not saying all these jobs that I've mentioned are bad, but you can imagine someone that is like maybe like an MD of a bank or a big
Comparing the
entrepreneur
two.
coming into the UK, and what you could start with is working night shift or day shift in a warehouse. So were you humbled also when you came?
If I'm being honest, I would say that's relatively objective when you say UK will humble you, because ordinarily I'm not a proud person when it comes to working in an official environment. So all my career life back in Nigeria, I've always been a guest kind of person, like give honor to whom honor is due. So when I came in here, the system was different. If the difference is what humbling means, then yes, it will humble you. But being patient and waiting to get what you want, I wouldn't say it's humbling, it's just the process. You must go through the process.
So let me rephrase that question. What was your first job in the United Kingdom when you came?
When I had my NI, my first job, I was an office administrator.
Office administrator, straight.
Yeah.
That's why you are finding it difficult to define humble. That's why you could not find the meaning.
No, I'll stop you there. Before I was an office administrator, when I said you come in, you have to wait, that waiting period, I did not just sit down and wait at home.
That's what I was expecting. While you were waiting, what is the first thing you did that earned you money in the United Kingdom?
Okay, right. The first thing I did to get my money, the first money I had was £60 in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
And that was, I came in on the 10th. The next day, I stepped out. I was living with family, and I strolled around. Very mad. I had an 18-month-old, so I was moving with pram and all that. I saw a place, a salon that was asking for hairstylist. I used to do hair for my kids and for my maid then back in Nigeria, so it's something I already know how to do. And I entered. She was a Ghanaian, and I'm like, can I obviously do it? I know that I explained my situation. I don't have NI or anything. I don't know how it works. You have to give me cash. And she was like, okay. And so I worked for a week there, and I got my first £60
as an hairstylist.
Yes, as an hairstylist. And because when I came here, the reality dawned on me that okay, these are parts you could do. Kitchen porter, you could do a waiter, you could be a carer, but care parts you needed to have a DBS, you needed to go do the training, and that needs to be done with money. And that was when I started looking for something to do. So I decided to do the care part because that would be at night based on my situation. I had a child to look after during the day. So I opted in for that route to do the care. And so when I did the hairstylist for 1 week, the first £60 I needed to do to apply for my DBS. So I went straight to a recruitment agency on the road, and I paid for my DBS and for the training, and that was already set. I was going for another interview. I had applied in different places to be a waitress.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got there, had a conversation with the owner of the place. And when he spoke to me, I would say God's intervention at that point. The only question he asked me, do you know how to use a computer? And I'm like, yes. And that's how he offered me on the spot to be his office administrator front desk.
Okay. Okay. So in Nigeria, you were doing fine working with Globacom, one of the biggest telecommunication in Africa, if not the world. Now, coming to another country, the best you could get was office administrator. How was that shift for you? That difference. How did you adjust?
Because like I said, it's always a process. I did not become an administrator. I did not start working in Blue all of a sudden in Nigeria.
Okay.
There are other things that you did before getting there. It's always a process. And so, yes, it was a shock to me. It's a shock to everybody, I believe. But it's about doing what you can to fend for your family and survive. That's what everybody
Hmm.
wants to do. That's
Hmm.
what's important at that point. Drop down titles, you lay everything aside and deal with what you have in front of you per time to move forward. And well, there was a huge difference from what I was in Globacom and being the office administrator. But at the same time, it was exciting for me because it is a new environment. First off, I could hardly hear them talk. So it seemed like a new challenge and experience for me, and I took it I took it upon myself to go through that journey. And I was an administrator, I was doing interviews, I was taking care of the office. So it was like a multi role
Okay.
necessarily. Normally, I wouldn't do that, but because of the circumstances I believe I was in, the employer at that time saw it as a good opportunity to use me to do literally everything at that point in time. So it was when I was interviewing that was what piqued my interest in human resources first off. And while I did that job, I still went for it was COVID hit in March, as I remember. So when the whole world was shut down, well, I was still going in the office all through March. I think in April, all the offices closed. It was different because he was in the hospitality field, restaurants, and he had an SIA security, SIA licensing business, all the security people that stand in stores and all. I was interviewing those SIA people and training them for their licenses then. And so he had to shut down and he was getting follow-up from the government. And so I had to go home.
Hmm.
Yeah. So at that point, mind you, I'd done my training and my DBS. It was just sitting because I got another job. Then I had to fall back to care, which now became the center of
So you
attention
did
from
care as
that
well.
point. Yes, I did.
Which type of care? Domiciliary support
Not
or
job. Yeah, not support.
care? Okay. So let's take a step forward. Before we take that step, what route did you come to UK with? Is it student? Is it
Yes, my
work?
husband was doing his master's. I was dependent at that time.
Okay, all right. So, from your perspective, what do you think are the barriers that are significantly maybe impeding people, immigrants that comes to this country in getting employment of their choice or employment that they have experience with?
The first thing is understanding the UK labor markets because there are several challenges in the UK market. The truth is, the UK job market is relatively scarce. When someone tells you jobs are relatively scarce, you might not believe because when you go on Indeed or any job board, you see thousands of roles and you feel like there's enough to go around, but that is not the case because there are several theatics to job boards. I can at times of the day when jobs are posted, when you get the best jobs, there are systems that generate candidates and send them directly. So most time you might see a job 21 hour ago. Trust me, they're done interviewing for that job.
Oh,
So there are a lot of challenges when it comes to trying to get into the job market.
were there any specific challenges you faced that you didn't anticipate when you now finally moved from, I don't know what you did, the last role you did before moving into HR in the UK? Did you face anything that you didn't anticipate getting your human resources job?
I went back into telecommunications before landing my HR because that was where I was coming from. So I worked for Virgin Media for a while before I moved HR finally. And so because telecommunication was my niche, I was good at what I was doing in Glow, and I was looking at telecommunications here. So I had interviews with Santander then, I had interviews with RBS Bank, I had interviews with Barclays, and I was successful at all of them. But because of how porous the economy was then, it was COVID, none of the employers knew what to do because no one was coming into the office and site. They were just trying e-learning, the educational system, and they were trying to know how work from home worked for the other parts. So it was difficult to get jobs between March till about August when they started opening up um, the offices again. And so this particular company, Virgin Media, I had three interviews, three different locations. I had done for Sheffield, I had done for Manchester, and I had done for London. And the same process, but I wasn't getting the job at first. It was the third attempt for Sheffield was when I got the role, Virgin Media. It has to do with persistence. You keep knocking on the door, it would open.
Okay.
And what I did was try to listen to YouTube videos, how to answer interviews, and obviously relating it to what I knew how to do back then from the country I was going to, telecommunications. We knew what we obviously conversations we have with customers. So I had to use all those scenarios in my interview. And then because we're not coming on site, it's difficult to know someone can do something over a video interview. Their facial expressions might not be giving you the confidence that the employer wants to see. Doesn't mean you're not confident enough to do the job.
Yeah.
So that's very important. Those are some of the barriers I faced because then it was new to everybody, both the employers and obviously we in the job market looking for a job. And it was recorded interview, and at that point in time they called me. I did a telephone interview again before they offered me the job, and then that was when I realized that there was something like referencing, there was something like waiting for security checks.
In your country where you came from, there is nothing like that, right?
No, it's just referencing if you're lucky.
All right. So factors like language, qualifications, past experience, recognitions, is there any way they helped you getting the job? Because I've seen people that, in fact, when I moved into the country as well, there are some interviews I had and they will tell you, you don't have UK experience. But I've gotten 12, 11, 10 years on experience on this kind of role. And I've seen the job description. I know it's something I can do. It's even below what I've done in Nigeria. But you are saying I don't have UK experience. Are you saying there is a special way maybe they put load into a truck the way we do in Nigeria? So factors like that, do you encounter any issues with it, or how did they help you in getting your jobs?
It was until I entered human resources profession, I realized what employers look out for when interviewing candidates. I myself have interviewed candidates as well. And truth be told, it's not necessarily the UK experience. It's about being confident about what you're doing, knowing the process of what to do. Does that make sense? Assuming now, I'm going to use the like preparing a meal, for example. Um, you have had pizza, yeah, and you're interviewing someone. Can you make a pizza? You want them to work at your pizza shop, and they come and tell you, yes, I've made pizzas before. It's important that you have all the ingredients. Important you know when your pizza is ready, how to package it, and all. But does that tell you how to make pizza? No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So you might go and watch all these YouTube videos, but look out for key things. If I start and tell you I've made pizza abroad before and I'm coming to UK for the first time, and then tell you, oh, I have made pizza before. It starts with getting the best flour. I have international experience on knowing which flour, rising flour, not raising flour. You're giving me details on the pizza that is being made. Does that make sense? You're telling me you have to select the best ham, make sure the ketchup is at a certain degree. You're giving me details of actually what it means to make a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you've made a pizza in UK, I know you can make a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? That
Yeah.
is what interviewers look out for. A lot of us just go online. There are YouTube videos everywhere. The interviewers can see the YouTube videos. It's everywhere. It's an internet and open space. They can get any information they want to get. So even ChatGPT that you're writing a question. I've been on an interview before. I asked the question, I put it on ChatGPT. I was looking at the person was reading ChatGPT back to me. So it's becoming increasingly difficult to land a role. You say AI is here to help everybody, but it can be your greatest enemy as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you need to know that, give the details of what it is, the role that you are. You can do your CV, it gets through the ATS system, and you land that interview. Interviewers know that people use the AI to get past ATS system. You have people with beautiful traditional UK CVs, and when you sit them down to have interview, they begin to stutter.
Mm.
When they say, okay, even the popular star method, you give a scenario, I was asked to do the action I took and the results. You're just literally defining what star is, but you're not really telling me the job that you did. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense? So it's the details, giving details on what actually role you're doing for you to be able to land the role. Imagine a doctor coming do an interview. You realize that NHS is flooded with a lot of international experience. Why? Because they know these things. They have done these things. They've been in the theater. Their hands have stitched patients up. They have given the details of what is required, and that's why they're getting the jobs they're getting. So it's not necessarily going online and cramming, putting paper and reading back to the interviews. It doesn't work that way. You
All
really
right.
need to give the details of every role that you are going for. That's the only thing and now you realize there are now stages of interviews. So you can pass the first stage. They want to see you in person doing that, and you will be giving assessments. It's not increasingly difficult to land the role. So it's not just having going on Teams meeting and you land the job. No,
Yeah.
because the recruitment industry realizes a lot of um, there are a lot of options available that will help people scale through interview process. For like my one, the last job I had, there was a Teams interview first stage. I did a second stage interview face to face, and I did an assessment because it's not about saying, it's about doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you come into the role, you're going to be doing the job. You're not going to be reading details of that role back to the employer at that point in time.
Yeah. Uh, Thank you. Thank you for answering that in detail. So, where So before I ask the next question, are you enjoying your current role?
Yes, I am.
All right. So did you experience any discrimination or bias? Maybe while you were searching for employment or when you get employed? Did you experience, because people say people of some particular colors get discriminated. If you go to an interview and you appear in this kind of color, your chance is low already automatically. But if you are this color, you have higher chance. Do you experience that while you were actively searching or while you got your job?
No, no, I wouldn't say that because to be honest, it's about skill that you have, not necessarily about the color of your skin.
It's about the
And
skills you said.
the skill, yeah, skill sets that you have. By the grace of God, most of the interviews I've had, um, I've gotten them because of where I answered the questions and having that conversation and rapport with the interviewers. So first off, see them as a human, have that relationship with them, ask questions that they will not forget. A lot of people, when you go on interviews, it's not about you. You're not just being interviewed, you're also interviewing the interviewers to see if they're right for you.
Mhm.
That's one mentality that we don't have. For going there to impress them, but they should be able to impress you. So I leave a lasting experience with the questions that I ask my interviewers. And so they pause and look at me. And if they have to think to answer my question, they won't forget me as a candidate. They will want to see me again. A lot of times, when they say read about the company, they actually want you to research about the company, not just know the day that they started. What I do, I go on, I can't remember the name of the website right now, to go and read the reviews. I don't look at for the 5 star, I look at for the 1 stars to see what past employees have said about the company. And that's what I used to go and attack and ask them
Okay.
why why this happened. There's a pattern of this and there's a pattern of that. And they're interested to want to defend their company because you're interviewing them. Does that mean they have to look good for you to want to come and work for them? So it's a two-way street, if you ask me. It's not all about impressing your interviewers. You need to also question them and make them feel like if they're interviewing you and if the company is best for you as well. Because the truth is, if you go in somewhere, the culture doesn't make sense, the work hours, the ethic is not fine, you'll be looking to jump ship soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, a straightforward question.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up what you said, I will rephrase it. Do you believe there is discrimination and bias for immigrants in the labor market in the United Kingdom?
Yes and no, I would
Why did
say.
you say no?
No, because if you are good at what you do, you will get the job,
So you
except that
think
job is
you
not for
think
you.
there are no candidates that are very good, very skilled, very vast in the knowledge of the job being advertised, performed well in the interview, asked the right question, answers through the STAR model, SMART model, every model, and they still not get the job.
Yes, possibly.
So if you are in that shoe, what question will you be asking yourself when you get home? When you know
There are
you
usually scores that, because for every interviewer interviewing, they have a mark sheet that they are marking. You might not be aware, you're not seeing it.
so you are saying they are okay, maybe you are saying the probability of discrimination and bias is very low compared to the years, right? There
Yes,
is, but it's very low. That's what you are saying.
there is, because every employer wants to be known as what's the word now? Inclusive. they want to be known as there's no sort of bias or discrimination. They want to be one of disability employers. They have that image to protect. No employer is going to come out and say, I don't employ colored people in my organization. No. Does that
They
make sense?
won't. Nobody will say that.
I'm saying this because I have been on the other side, and it's not necessarily be about color. That's why I'm not giving you an outright yes. In some organizations, yes, it is possible. I wouldn't know why, but if we're looking at it, I don't believe it's based on your color that you get or do not get an interview.
You've worked in Nigeria. You agree with me that the culture in Nigeria, in the workspace, is quite different from the culture here in the UK. How were you able to integrate quickly or slowly into that kind of workspace? I was saying, how were you able to integrate quickly into the culture and the worker space of the country that you are now, moving from Africa?
It took time, if I'm being honest.
Were you ever stigmatized?
No.
In the office, maybe as a new joiner, maybe you don't have friends. In Nigeria, we make friends quickly at workplace. That's our culture. You can go to the canteen, eat food together. People will welcome you. But here, do you feel like you are lonely? People just pack you aside, and it's difficult for you to come into the workspace?
There is culture shock, no doubt, because the culture here is to mind your business. In a workspace, you're here to work, you're not here to socialize. That's a working environment.
You are here to work, you are not here to socialize.
Yes, because we socialize and banter in every department of our lives in Nigeria. It could be work, it could be church, it could be parties. We socialize with everything. Does that make sense? But it's different here. That's the culture shock I experienced. Once they're here, the best you can get is high. No one wants to, because time is money. No one will use their hour and start having conversations for you when there's work to be done.
Yeah.
They do have time for that. That's why there's a lunch break. If you feel you can say hi to someone, go ahead and give it a shot. But I would say it starts with your self-confidence. If you feel, they're not saying anything in the office, you could be absolutely wrong. Because obviously nobody intentionally ignore you, or if you say hi to them, they don't want to be friends with you or something. Their culture here is very different. So you must learn to adapt to what the culture is. If someone gives you a hand of friendship, why not take it?
Okay.
But then again, always know that it's a workplace, it's not for socializing. So if you miss the memo and you start socializing, it will come back to bite you.
All right. I have 2 more questions and I will release you. So looking back now, if you could turn the hand of time, if you can turn it back, is there anything you wish you've known about UK, the UK labor market, before your arrival?
Yes, I would have planned better if I knew that there was a waiting period to get the NI, that there was something such as DBS, and know the different industries. Know that it would have been easier to start volunteering or doing internships before trying to land the role because of the UK experience. No doubt that is required. Everybody wants it. So those are the things that need to be made known to people looking to move into any country. Trust me, the UK is different. Canada is different. So even the way your CV is written, the languages, is different. So if all this details are made available to people seeking to move into the country, it will be easier. But the truth is, it's not still going to happen within a day or a week or a month. You know,
All
you
right.
still have to be patient and just walk through the process.
For people in Nigeria that are watching you tonight, people in Nigeria, in Africa, everywhere, would you still advise people to come to the UK, considering the way UK is now? I know you would say it's their choice, so don't answer like that.
Yes.
If it's your choice, if you can
Actually,
you've been in the UK for like 5 years, would you still
yeah.
advise people, those that are looking at you as you're speaking, to come to the UK? Especially the professionals, people that are professionals in their field, maybe human resources, supply chain, construction, engineering. Will you still advise them to come?
If something has been good for you, why not? You
If
tell people
something
to.
has been what?
If you experience something good, would you want to share it with the other people's experience
That's
the
why I
same thing?
said it's a
Of
yes or no
course,
question. Would you
it has been
advise
said
people
to
to come?
me. It's not a yes or no answer if you ask me, because it has been fair and not too bad. Another person might have a different experience and tell someone, don't try it, or don't even come here. Does
So
that make
what will you
sense?
tell people? That's my question. Speak to them now.
um,
They are hearing you. People that are professionals, wherever they are listening to you now,
mhm.
would you say there is opportunity for them in the UK
The job
that they should
market,
come? Yeah.
jobs are relatively scarce in the UK. So if you are willing to come, you should be ready to talk it out, no matter how long it takes to land the job that you desire. But it is possible.
All right. Lastly, I want you to give your 2 cents, your advice to the newly arrived immigrant. People come into this country every day. I was in my street some days
Yeah.
ago with my wife, and I saw a lady taking selfie with a lot of Ghana must go. I was telling my wife, this one has just come to join us. I was waving to her, welcome into our midst. So people come into UK every day. What would be your advice to those that are newly the newly arrived immigrants, on how to establish themselves professionally in the UK? What would be your advice?
Oh God, oh.
You tell them to hope God. What if they don't believe in any God?
I have to believe in a God,
Is
oh.
God is God a factor?
Yes, of course, it's my factor. I don't know about anybody
Is
else.
your factor? So
But the
speak
truth is, moving into
speak
a
generally.
country is both exciting and challenging. UK offers so many opportunities, but succeeding in the labor market requires strategy.
Hmm?
You have to be strategic, you have
Hmm?
to be patient, and to be able to adapt.
Strategy, patience, and adaptation. That's what you use, right? That's the method you used. And that's why you're
Yes.
enjoying the UK.
I said, "Oh God, well, that's the first thing I said before I gave you those other points."
So God come first, then you
If
be
you
able
refuse
to,
to
you
hold
must
God, then do
strategize,
all those other
be
parts.
patient, and adapt.
Yes. It requires strategy, it requires a lot of patience, and you should be able to adapt. Like I said, I was ready to do anything first. I had a plan. For me to work in the care industry, you need money to do your TPS. Does that make sense? I did not just see that money will not fall anywhere. You know, NI has not arrived at that point in time. So nobody's gonna make you work for them without having the right legal documentation. Skill was what I landed back on. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? So that was my strategy in getting the right documentation to be able to work properly. So you must always have a plan, to be
All
honest.
right. My last question.
Ah,
My
thank
last
you. That was
question.
the last.
My last question before now that let me say you've settled on a role and you said you're
Yeah.
enjoying it, in your current role, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Um, In less than 5 years, I should be a manager.
Which
in my
manager?
current role.
You need to define. There are a lot of manager. There is hotel manager, pop manager. Which type of manager? Where do you see
A payroll
yourself?
manager.
Payroll manager. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Racheal Akinbode. Thank you for honoring my invitation. I've had
Thank you
quite
for having me.
nice time. I'm sure if I invite you some other time, you will give me.
Yes, but please not on job, please, Mike. If my manager sees me now, I'm giving you tips on how to land a job, please.
It's good that you know what you are saying. A lot of people will say it, and it will help, because these questions that I'm asking you are questions that people are asking me back from home. So that's why I like to bring people that are in the field to shed light on some of the questions. So thank you very much. Would find time to invite you. Like I said, this show we discuss series of topics, not just career. We talk about politics, everything, anything that people will gain insight from. So thank you so much. I would invite you several more times every now and then to come and share your insight. Thank you so much. Regards to your husband and your kids, and enjoy your night.
And you too. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. That is it on my show and your view tonight. It's a wrap. I believe you've enjoyed and you've learned so many things, especially those of you that are planning to move to the United Kingdom. I'm sure those methods she mentioned works for any place you are going. Even if you are going to United States, you are going to Canada, you are going to Australia, first you need to have a God factor, like he said. Even if you don't have a God factor, you need to be sure that you need to be sure that you will succeed wherever you are going. And also, apart from that, you need to be able to strategize. While you're strategizing, you need to be patient. Good things don't come quickly most times. And after being patient, you need to adapt quickly as much as you can do. So I believe you've gained one or two things from our discussion this night. Till next time, when I'll be bringing another guest on another topic that you benefit from. It's my show and your view. She just shared her view. My name is Kehinde Oyeniyi. I'm the anchor of this show. People call me Operakenny. Till next time that we'll be joining. Thank you very much and enjoy your night. Bye.